Nestled in the heart of the majestic Alps, Serenica is an enchanting eco-luxury resort designed to offer an unparalleled experience of serenity, sustainability, and sophistication. Blending contemporary design with traditional alpine charm, Serenica invites you to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature while enjoying the finest comforts and amenities. Join us at Serenica and experience the perfect harmony of luxury and nature. Escape to a world where every moment is infused with the magic of the Alps and the promise of a sustainable future. Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2. My name is C. Lucius, or Luck, whichever one works, whichever one is fine. So how about that intro, huh? Surely that deserves a like and a subscribe, right? No? Alright, I guess I have the whole rest of the video to convince you otherwise. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Today we're gonna start and complete the resort in one episode, and man, this one was a bear. Right now I'm showing me landscaping the area of the park that will eventually become the resort that you saw in the intro. And speaking of the resort, I did decide on a name, which is Serenica. This comes from the two words serene and eco, and I just changed the ending to an A because it just sounded better than Serenico. Like Serenica is just prettier, and it could definitely be someone's name and no one would bat an eye. But moving on, now we're gonna work on some suites, and this resort has a few tiers. So there's the base suites, then there's the penthouse, the subterranean suite, and then finally the deluxe subterranean suite. And I just want to preface by saying that I got a bit carried away in building. Like, you can't give me a game that looks this good and also the ability to resize objects and then not expect me to do this. But each suite is about 500 pieces, and that might not seem like a lot, but when it's multiplied 90 times and then stitched together, I think this whole subterranean section of the resort alone was about 60,000 pieces before tree and rock work. So if you were planning to download this park at all, you might need a beefy computer. Sorry. So anyways, with the name Serenica, the pillars of serenity and ecology, those were at the forefront of my mind. So because of that, my architectural themes of choice were eco-luxury and eco-modern, and I tried to shy away from the crossover of modern luxury because when you omit the eco, it adds a lot of extravagance and opulence that very much clashes with the mission of the resort, which is to reconnect you with nature after all. So some key aspects of this building style include the use of natural and locally sourced materials, openness and drawing attention towards nature, as well as environmentally friendly energy sources. So for these reasons, you will see the use of lots of wood and stone, planters and gardens everywhere, spammed, might I add, and solar panels on almost every roof. So following that, I try to build the resort structures in interesting but also non-complex shapes. That way your attention is drawn away from the buildings themselves and more so towards the land that they are built on. So really quickly, I want to show off the set of items from this resort that I made into a modular set on the workshop. As I said earlier, there were just way too many pieces to include the whole building, so I've made a set of just the furniture. If you'd like to download the resort pack, the code will be in the description below. Now back to Serenica. The time-lapse skips ahead a bit, but I'll cover what we missed a bit later in the live section. Now we're working on probably the most iconic part of the resort, which is its floating infinity pool. And the idea for this insane looking pool was not my own, and in fact, this whole subterranean section is essentially a recreation of Hotel Hubertus in Italy. Now let me preface by saying that when I created this, I had no idea this place was real, and I thought it was an AI generated reference image. And what drew me to this specific vision was how it achieved a good balance of feeling luxury while also embracing nature. So I drew on lots from it, including the overall shaping and the way it conforms to the terrain, as well as many other smaller details that I felt added to the eco theme. For example, one of the smaller details that I added was the inclusion of a catch pool, and I felt this was necessary because of the fact that the pool does extend above an area that runs off into the river below. And generally, infinity pools will have a lower catch pool just past the infinity edge out of view of the swimmers. And that way, any water that seemingly gets splashed over the edge actually gets cycled back into the filtration system. And with the whole, sustainability motif, we can't be wasting water, or even worse, leaking chlorinated water into the environment. And on that note, that's pretty much all of the footage I have of this section, so we're going to skip ahead to the tour of the subterranean part of our resort. Hello, welcome to the live section. So here is the kind of amalgamation of what I have built in the time lapse. This is sort of the modular room unit right here, and then I kind of did a lot after that. So this is pretty much the basic room unit block. It consists of 9 rooms, and I tried to kind of vary the blinds so that they don't look too identical. And one thing I did do, however, is edit the lighting of each room so that when we go to nighttime, right here you see that there's variance in the lighting levels of each room, so it doesn't look like everyone's awake, or just try to break up the monotony, right? And of course, I took that basic room and then copied it all along the coast here. So being a curved kind of layout, there were some irregular gaps between the buildings, and so I had to think of some, creative ways to fill those gaps. So on either end, I have a staircase. This one is the western stairwell, and this one is the eastern stairwell. I opted for an external, outdoors staircase rather than having everything allegedly indoors and underneath the ground here, just because I really like the open look of it, especially from this angle right here. I love that. And then these structures at either end of the staircases are, you're supposed to imagine that there's like an elevator inside so that each floor can be accessible, as you'll see that there are ramps on either end. Another thing I did off camera was the creation of the logo, and it is just a simple flower pattern with like a little design here. It's kind of like an arrowhead. It looks like an arrowhead. I don't know what the purpose of that is, but I like it a lot, so we're gonna end up going with that. It's clean, it's simple. In the next gap, we have our iconic pool, as I talked about in the time lapse. This pool offers a somewhat infinity edge, but it's mostly gonna provide you with great views of the environment here. And then we do have our logo inside the pool. The next gap is an exact clone of the first one, except there's no pool above it. I think I have plans to make this into a stage at some point. But it's just got staircases. And then the final gap has this sort of external rock structure. I'm not too sure exactly what this is going to be, but it should turn out interesting as we flush it out a little bit. And of course, it's just got a planter and a fire pit up top. Notably, each level of the resort has a label. So up here, ground level will be level 4, meaning levels 3, 2, and 1 will be subterranean. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about are the yards outside of the resort rooms. They're sort of sloped down onto this planter to give a smooth look and not obstruct the view from the balcony areas into the river below. Here you can see the difference between the regular subterranean room and the subterranean deluxe room. The main difference is in the balconies. The deluxe rooms have much more privacy, as well as an extended balcony size and a hot tub on their balcony. So there's a few of these. We have 12, just to break up the repetitive look of 90 copy and pasted resort units. That's pretty much this area for the time being. Now I'm going to plan out the upper half of the resort. This first structure is going to be the staff facilities building. This will basically house the break rooms, all receiving, waste management, warehousing, the mechanical workshop, and executive offices. Immediately attached to the back of it is our staff parking. And this is another annex to our parking lot that we completed in the last episode. It features simple directional arrows, and then finally some handicapped parking closer to the entrance of the building. next is our main hotel structure, and I'm not too sure how tall I want it as of right now, but I do know that I want this general shape. And of course, this building will house the reception desk, the main lobby, and then all of the above ground rooms. And finally, we have our guest services building. This should have a large outdoor patio with the main restaurant of the resort. Surrounding it will be a large wading pool that will be decorated with plenty of cozy pool furniture. And well, now that the outlines are in, let's get detailing, shall we? Okay, well, it is time for us to finally catch up. It's been so long, I feel like I need to reintroduce everything. This park does not have a name yet, but it is supposed to be a theme park set in Germany, and specifically in a region near Berchtesgaden National Park. Let me know how my pronunciation was on that. I worked on that a little bit. Yeah, it's also near Salzburg, Austria. And currently we only have a parking lot and only one themed area, which is themed to the American and Canadian frontier. And it features our only ride, a mock hyper called Tawiskara, and that roller coaster is themed to Native American folklore. Recap out of the way, this is going to be a longer segment, and I've got a few topics we can talk about. So first, well, me. Where have I been? So I could chalk it up to a lot of things, right? You can say work, you can say assignments, you can say hanging out with friends, but ultimately I believe what it came down to was a bit of mental health. So I don't want to overshare, right? Because we are just playing a roller coaster game, but I will say that when you're not at your best mentally, it affects your creativity and it affects your drive a lot. And having that ongoing issue made it very difficult for me to want to play Planet Coaster 2. Especially at the time when the game was just very unrefined and not the best to play. So that being said, I do apologize for just disappearing, going MIA like that. I'm not going to say a hiatus like that won't happen again, because I can't ensure that, but I will say that if it is going to happen, I'll at least make a community post or something like that, at least let people know what's going on. For all of those people who stuck around and are back, thank you. And for anybody who is new, checking out the channel for the first time, welcome in. Hope you like what you see. And since we're on the topic of giving thanks, I want to shout out to a few creators whose works I used in this segment of the park. I'm just going to flash their workshop codes on the screen now. These are some great pieces, and I don't know, how do you guys feel about seeing other people's works inside a project like this? Like, does it delegitimize what I'm building if I use stuff made by other people? Because I feel like real recognize real, right? If I see a good workshop item, I'm gonna use it, especially if I've never made it myself or don't care much to, because someone's made an already great version of it. Like, for example, the forklift. I'm not gonna make a forklift out of these pieces. Look, I'm just being real. I'm not gonna do it. So if I see a forklift in the workshop that looks good, I'm more than likely gonna use it, and I think that should be okay, right? Like, it's just a game, you know. It's literally just a video game. So yeah, shout out to everyone who explained the German bus stop H last episode. Thank you to everyone who left a comment. Shout out to those creators, especially this creator here, Taggy 3D. Actually, if there's anything that you take away from this video, it should be to probably check out Taggy's channel. Those are like the types of channels you should probably follow, like the ones who push the bounds in the game in ways that no one had ever considered. Like the drone shows that he's recently made. Well, I guess not recently anymore, but at the time of this video, that the drone show was recent, and that was just insane. I didn't even know that was possible. Also, another thing I just recently learned was that Planet Coaster 2 modding exists now. In my break, I didn't know that people are modding the game now. There's like switch track mods and swing launch mods. It just looks insane. The other day I saw an Intamin Hot Racer CTR by Distance, which I'll link in the description because it's very cool. And the phrase CTR just took me back to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Like back when I would get home from school and then immediately go to CS Depot and look for new scenery or trains and whatever. And all the forums, it was peak. I've said this in one of my old videos, but Shy Guy's Main Street and Catfish Cove sets were just so good. They're really the base of everything I know today in terms of like theme park building. I almost want to open Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and look back at some old creations. And maybe I'll do that for a sub milestone, who knows? Back to modding, another video I think I'll link in the description is a coaster made by Coaster Cow, and it's a swing launch dueling Mobius modern Vekoma, and it's one of the greatest layouts I think I've ever seen in like 15 years of lurking around theme park sandbox YouTube, and that's even considering some No Limits 2 creations. And if that's the direction that the game is headed in, I'm really excited. Whether it's official pieces by Frontier or community-made mods, either way, the coaster community has been cooking. And speaking of cooking, what do you think of this new video format? I guess it's like a jump cut where I'm compressing like 15 hours of footage into about 20 minutes. So that's like 45 times speed, but on average, you're only watching like 5 or 6 times sped up speed. So it's a lot easier to watch, right? But of course, the trade-off there is that it takes a lot more time to make. So it's not really a sustainable thing. I just felt like I waited so long and this video took me so long to make that I would try to include the most content in it while also making the experience the best, because I kind of owe it to you guys for disappearing like that. So yeah, in the future we'll probably maybe keep the same format but just include a lot less in each video so that I could have a faster turnaround time, and it can be I guess less stressful to make an episode, because I don't want to be stressed out playing a video game. It's just a video game. You play these to de-stress, not not the other way around. Yeah, let me know what you think about this kind of sped up supercut type of video. I wanted to talk a bit about the state of the game now as the roadmap is nearing an end. I'm assuming, they haven't announced it yet, right? But I'm assuming at the end of update 6 is when they're going to start releasing DLC, which I feel like that's fair. I mean, personally, after update 5, I feel like the game has been pushed over that line where I guess it would kind of make sense for them to make DLC, because the state of the game right now, as of June 2025, I feel like the reality of the game has met the expectation of what we thought the game would be, and it's taken them less than a year, so that's pretty good. Could you guys imagine like how the game would have been if the state that it's in right now was how it was at release, and then how would the game be now if it released in this state? You can't help but think like surely we would have had the Intamin blitzes and the swing launches already. But I guess Frontier saw their player base kind of taking a hit, and they decided to kind of rework their priorities. So I sincerely applaud them for that. This game has made a very outstanding recovery, if I do say so. So yeah, what do you think? Have they earned the right to make DLC? That sounds a bit pretentious, but I think they have. Okay, next topic. I think whatever happens in this recording of this section, I'm just gonna go with it. This is really the 9th time that I've recorded this, because I've wanted to talk about different things over this past like half year, right? And then as different topics come up and things in life change, like some topics are no longer relevant, some topics are like not worth talking about anymore. So things just keep changing, and I just keep changing what I want to talk about. So this is going to be the final one. One of the times that I tried to record this, actually, I was talking about The Witcher 3, which I compared to this game. They're not the same genre, so it's interesting to compare them, but if we just look at the developers' like priorities, obviously that game had so much love put into it. Oh, sorry, and I bring this up because The Witcher 3 was a game that I discovered while on my little YouTube hiatus, and that game was amazing. So even like 10 years after the game came out, I still bought the DLC for it at full price, and then immediately there was a Steam sale for it, and I got really sad because I paid full price for it. But either way, I was still happy paying full price because it improved the already amazing base game. And then when you compare it to Planet Coaster 2, it's like, why on earth would I buy the Mach Extreme Spinner DLC when the base game wasn't that enjoyable? Don't get me wrong, it was enjoyable, but it just was like a worse version of the first game. Like visually, it looked better, but gameplay-wise, it was worse. And that's just not what I was expecting for the game. And that's just not what you want out of your brand new 2024 title, right? So it's fun at launch, and then after reality set in a bit, like you saw, for those of you who watched my last video, the returning to Planet Coaster 2, where I built that Vekoma, that modern Vekoma. At the beginning, I had like 600 something hours in the game, and the last time I played it was mid-February. So I played the game a lot, and that's part of the reason why I got burnt out, because it just was unrefined, and I put so many hours into it, so I noticed every single little thing that wasn't quite as smooth as you'd like it to be. So yeah, I feel like the game's in a better state now, and I'll be playing a lot more, definitely, especially as the summer comes up, and especially as these newer rides are opening up. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited for this summer. I think I have plans to get on a bunch of new rides. Actually, at the end of June, I'm going to be coasting through Florida. That was a reference to Coaster Studios, if you guys watch them. But I'll be going to Busch Gardens, Tampa, SeaWorld Orlando, Universal Florida, Islands of Adventure, and to top it off, Epic Universe. And I have never been to any of these parks, so that's like 20 new credits. I think I'm going to get to experience Iron Gwazi and Velocicoaster in back-to-back days, so that should fuel my coaster inspiration for like 5 years. Also, all the theming, it's going to be so refreshing actually going to theme parks instead of amusement parks. So that'll be perfect inspiration for this series. But yeah, that's just this month. And then later in the summer, I have plans to, I guess, either go to Six Flags Great America or Cedar Point, probably both at some point, to check out Wrath of Rakshasa or Siren's Curse and Top Thrill 2. I haven't been to Cedar Point since they added Valraven, so I still haven't been on Steel Vengeance. So yeah, that'll be a trip that's worth it as well. Like, I've got so much coastering to do. The last time I rode a roller coaster is 2021, and that was like, I went to Six Flags Great America with some friends, and I didn't even ride Max Force. I don't even have the credit for that. Like, you know when you go with a big group of people and you kind of gotta follow the group, right? So if people don't want to go on Max Force, it's like, all right, I won't go. But deep down, I was like, man, screw you guys. Anyways, I didn't end up riding it, and it's not the end of the world. Like, it's not going anywhere. Well, actually, I can't even say that. With all the ride removals and stuff, you never know. You never know. Obviously, it's less likely because it's a newer ride, but you never know. So maybe I should have ridden Max Force back then. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like, I love this season when the new for whatever year rides are finally opening up, and you're seeing reviews, you're seeing the freshly landscaped queues and the new areas of the park, the fresh concrete pours, and everything just looks clean. It's like my favorite part of the coaster season. I usually go to parks when they open rides, right? Like brand new roller coasters. I went to Great America for the opening of X Flight, for the opening of Goliath, and then Cedar Point for the openings of Gatekeeper and Valraven. That was pretty fun. And then I kind of fell out of the coaster community a bit. I don't know why, man. I really, really love it. And I'm super excited to get back into it. I'm also kind of scared now because I'm a bit older and I don't know how my body's going to react to the roller coasters. One thing's for sure, I'm not getting on any aero looper. Like, oh my god, dude, I still have PTSD from riding Corkscrew in 2015. Dude, no way. At the time of me building this part of the park, I remember it was like very, very popular in the coaster community to talk about B&M's rattle, right? The newer B&M's having a rattle and being unsmooth and B&M falling off, yada yada, right? But I don't know. Even B&M with a rattle is better than a lot of manufacturers. They're not better than Mach, they're not better than Vekoma now, they're not better than Intamin. Although there have been talks of Hyperia being a bit rough this season, but I've never ridden it, so I don't know. Aside from them, like, B&M's still up there, right? Like, B&M slander, come on, man. It's B&M. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. In all seriousness, Wrath of Rakshasa and Rapterra look like very good rides, despite them looking a bit shaky while testing, and I'm grateful that my home park is even getting a coaster like Wrath. I don't know, enthusiasts might be a little spoiled by glass-smooth modern Vekomas and Intamins. Even though modern B&Ms are not consistently up to that par, they are still safe to ride and won't cause headaches, or worse for the most part. And that is my hot take. But I do understand the arguments. Like, obviously, you don't want your new construction to be rattly, right? If it's a new ride, you want it to be glass smooth, and understandably so. But still, it's not the end of the world. If it's a little jolty, makes you feel alive, right? Speaking nonsense. I guess I'll talk a bit about the actual time lapse and what I'm building. I do not know exactly if I'm gonna keep this building here. I mean, even as it is, right, in the beginning, the intro cinematic, and even the outro cinematics as well that you're gonna see, this is not finalized. Even just the other week, I logged into the park and I changed the colors for a lot of the resort, and it looks better now. And in episode 5, you will see that the resort looks vastly different. In any case, we're starting to wrap up a bit here, and my final thoughts on the resort. It's supposed to be an outdoor experience more than an indoor experience, so that's why I put way more emphasis and effort onto, you know, the experiences you're gonna have while outdoors. Also, building in the kind of modern-ish style, I guess, was all pretty new to me. I've never built like this contemporary building in this large of a scale in any game for the most part. Maybe in Minecraft, like 8 years ago, maybe in Minecraft that I've built like this, but it was all pretty new to me, so I was up to the challenge for sure, and I think it turned out okay. I'm still not happy with all the designs and the way things are shaped, the coloring, the glass dome in the center, it kind of looks like a condom. But I love the shape, I love the atrium around the tree. It's one of my favorite features, but at the same time, if you remove the walls, it does just look like a contraceptive. But I like the behind the scenes areas, I like the shapes of other buildings, so I think we'll go back and revisit the resort at some point, either between the next episode and this one, or maybe a little bit in the future, who knows. But we will be changing the resort, and I will be letting you guys know when I finally find a look that I enjoy. I think I'm going to be matching the main building style to the side buildings more, because the main building is a bit outlandish. Like, it's a bit out there, I know, with the brutalist structures. Like, they look like sevens, right? They look like the number 7, and they're just sticking out. They're just for decoration, provide no structural integrity to the build, or if it does, very little. But it looks cool. I don't know if it fits, just like the atrium that's on the screen right now, but I'm definitely going to be remaking it with the new pieces from the update. And as new pieces get released, do you guys think it's worth it to go back through and update previous builds? Or, like, should I treat it like a historical landmark where we look back at the park way down the line and say, yeah, this was built before glass was in the game, or this was before billboards were in the game? And personally, I'm more on the update the build as we go side, but I'm curious to other takes as well. And Looking ahead, like I cannot wait for the fairy tale pieces to be re-added, because if you've seen my Planet Coaster 1 series, you know what I'm capable of with those pieces. And that's without the ability to resize objects. But anyway, as the time-lapse wraps up, I want to mention another source of inspiration I had while making this resort, which was the Grand Curiosa Hotel at Liseberg in Sweden. And I found out about this place from a Coaster Studios vlog, and in it, there was this moment where they sat at a rooftop bar with a great view of the park, where you could see the sunset and roller coaster still running, and that was just way too picturesque to not try to recapture at Serenica. So that rooftop bar is on top of the restaurant building. And I'll probably add a few more bars later on, because I've been looking into German culture a bit to understand some nuances and to achieve the correct feel in this park, you know? And that being said, I know for sure I want a brewery somewhere. But for the rest of the bits and bobs, you'll just have to stay tuned. Next up is the second live section, where I will quickly walk you through everything I've made and allow you to fully see everything in detail, because I know the time-lapse skipped through a lot of it. Like I said earlier, I didn't say it earlier, but while the time-lapse did compress 15, 16 hours of footage into 20 minutes for you to watch, I'm pretty sure I removed, I want to say, like 7 additional hours of me detailing and moving stuff around and looking around and making sure things felt right. I mean, this was a lot of work. This video doesn't do it justice, so hopefully the in-depth tour at the end will sort of show you guys everything, all the nuances and all the small details that I included to make this resort one of my favorite things I've ever made. And yeah, so with that, my friends, the time-lapse is over, and we've got a tour to take. Now there are a load of details that I'd like to tell you about. Let's see if I can remember them all. The concrete edges of this dome are supposed to resemble the resort logo. I tried to avoid using lamps and instead aimed for either foot lighting by buildings or diffuse lighting in planters. The parking garage looks like it extends far underneath the resort, but to save pieces, it's just a facade. The lighthouse was inspired by the Cape Cod potato chips bag. Most structures have their actual facility buildings hidden from guests. All facilities are actually functional and connected to the main grid. This empty space here is now a sauna. Solar panels, skylights, and greenery adorn almost every rooftop. And all rooftops are accessible via ladder for maintenance and window washing purposes. Every building is wheelchair accessible via ramps or elevators. I liked this modern art sculpture so much that I copied it down here as the centerpiece of this roundabout. These e-bikes have lights that indicate whether or not they are fully charged. And this stage will either host live performances or be the landing pad for future drone shows. Whew. Okay, so here we are in the park, and it's loaded up right now. We've got people inside. Still got to do a little barrier work to prevent people from doing this. Well, I guess that's not bad, but people are walking through the planters earlier. Yeah, let's go check out the staff facilities. So you'll see on the directory here. Take a turn here. It's not that sharp. Not as sharp as it looks. Nice planter here. So this is sort of the main backstage area of the resort. This is where shipments come in, you know, like food and supplies and stuff like that. Also where the trash is handled. So we've got a bunch of empty bins. Our forklift. It's a very big forklift. Some pallets, extra garbage cans. The dollies. Here I added the detail of like the the hazard signs where it shows like the degree of each hazard. I don't know exactly how realistic it would be for this to be on here. I just know the red is flammability, so we've got a 1. That's pretty much it in terms of like actual danger. And you'll notice a staff worker just came out of this building, and we have a staff facility inside. So you got everyone in here on their break, and then they're taking this path right here. And if I move it, see it's a separate piece. It's a gate. This is probably meant for like janitors and stuff to bring the trash bins collected throughout the park back to this area back here to be recycled and whatnot. But I don't like having it open, so we'll just close that. I guess we'll continue down this path. So this is another way to bring trash up from this side of the resort. I actually really like this facility buildings here. Like, even if they weren't functional, just putting them here adds a lot of realism for me. And all this backstage stuff is nicely hidden. Here we've got the nice carts from Plastic Swans. People glitching through the bar, gotta love that. I think I skipped it in the time lapse, but in the hotel, like the main lobby here, these doors here, they're like elevators and hallway doors, right, to rooms. There's actually This is a changing room. That's a changing room, and I believe this is a restroom. Now that I'm here, these doors look massive. Maybe I should rebuild them. Those doors are massive. Wow. Here's our tree. In game, it is the blue gum eucalyptus. In real life, if we were to have a eucalyptus tree indoors, the staff would hate me because their bark sheds a lot, and then I believe their leaves as well. So there'd just be, you'd need to sweep like 5 times a day. Here we have a living wall, and then the logo on the front of it. Inside here we have the new fans I made, and the same clutter pieces as before. Now we're back out to the front, so this is where the parking lot loops back and comes to the front. Ever since that one update, this has been glitching, so I don't know what to do about that. I can't really lower it, it just snaps right back into place. If you saw in the time lapse, I added fountains out here just to make it a little bit more, I guess, relaxing. And these gates here are the actual in-game like park entrance pieces. So entering the resort campus, people are also entering the park boundaries. And I tried to place as many like labels like this as I could around. Underneath here is another kind of backstage area, and this is just another door into the restaurant. This is the art thing I made. I just made one like square frame and then rotated a little bit and curved it a little bit, following the path just over and over until it made it one loop, and then I copied that loop a second time. So I really like this. It adds shade and intrigue. I'll change it to nighttime so we can see the diffuse lighting I tried to do with the plants. So you'll see in all these planters, of course you can see a little bit of the hot spots, right, the lamps, but most of the lighting is supposed to be like bounced off of the structures here. So this structure and all of the reeds like this. I don't think it's too dark, but I didn't want it to be super bright also. So I think it's a pretty good balance, I'd say. And this is actually path here. It's walkable. No one's walking in it though, I don't know why. But it is path. Let's see, here's the bar. It has its own like backstage as well. I think it's funny that you'll get 1 million notifications unless you place a lifeguard tower to watch these wading pools. They're not glitching through the beds as much as you might think because these beds have like barriers in them, and then the edges here have benches. So for the most part they won't be walking through the furniture here. This side especially has the beds kind of more onto the path, and that allowed me to place benches underneath them. And so you'll see the effect like this, or someone sitting on the edge of the bed, and I quite like that. This guy just got a burger. Oh, they're littering, jeez. How are you gonna go to an eco resort and litter? Here's the big patio. I tried to incorporate some different textures and whatnot, so you'll see me working in the corrugated steel right here. And then a few outdoor bar spots. Lots of outdoor seating. In this restaurant, this area is supposed to be like you wake up from your suite, right? And you come here, you eat breakfast out on this patio, get amazing morning views. Let me change it to sunrise time. Gorgeous views from both sides. And then at noon-ish, you're gonna be in the park during the day, right? So that is why most of the restaurants in the park will be like lunchtime type of food. And then at the end of the day, when the park closes and you come back to the resort, you will be having dinner at the outdoor restaurant here. And there's no like shade covering because it's meant to be used at nighttime. So I guess during the day, maybe they'll pack the chairs and tables up and then set them out at night. Something like that. Now let's head over to this last corner. I mean, the resort here is massive, right? Like, it's about 1/9 of the entire park. Here's the stage. And we have a sushi shack. Is that a tongue twister? Sushi shack. Sushi shack. And some outdoor, kind of like a bar, sushi bar. right? And then here, there's a small, I guess, little backstage to the sushi shack. And it's kind of hidden in all this, right? So if you see like all these gates that I placed around to hide facility buildings and whatnot, they all have these switches here to kind of act like access switches, I guess. And the same thing here with the elevator or the door. Maybe you scan your resort key card to get access. Now I kind of want to look at the pool. It's not quite like how you'd really want it to be, like with glass walls and such, but I did the best I could, right? There's the little catch pool. It's just got grates and stuff, and it goes along the edge on both sides. I really like this camera, actually. Wow, I really like that. I can like simulate jumping in and you float. That's really cool. Okay, I didn't even know you could do that. So up on top of this first level of resort suites, I guess, there's like an outdoor garden. So you'll come out here and have access to, you know, some more seating and a pretty view from up here. And it's the exact same on the other side. It's not even mirrored. It's the exact same. I got a little lazy, okay? But on top of this building, this is the kind of inspiration from Leesburg that I was talking about. This right here. Man, I love this view. So imagine you're chilling up here at this rooftop bar, right? You just sit here, there's lights. Wait, I have to set the mood first, right? Sunset, and you're on this rooftop bar, and you can have beautiful views of the park. And you're seeing, look at the roller coaster going. People are still in there, and in the future when we have like a closer up roller coaster here, it'll kind of enhance that because the coaster will be closer and you'll be able to hear it and hear people screaming. So the vibe here, super nice, super nice. I guess we could head down here. So here's the secondary directory. It says resort parking and valet services. So as these buses are going by, you see the different retaining walls I used, you know, just to keep it interesting. Kind of inverted the colors here, so a black wall here, then a white wall up there, now a black wall here, and a lighter wall down at the bottom. And these are just those stone pieces that I made really large, and they look very, very sturdy. So I'm glad. And then I added these kind of modern looking light fixtures just to illuminate the road. Here we have our traffic circle. And that thing is spinning a little faster than I'd like it to, but it's not too bad. And here is the parking garage structure. So I said valet services. Maybe, let's see, maybe the people like, I need to make another path here. Maybe they like get out here, right? Valet takes their car, parks it here, and then they walk into this area of the hotel or something. This is not final. I just want this path to work up into a plaza up here for a secondary entrance into the park down here. And essentially that is it. We could walk down here, check out the landscaping by the water. I really enjoyed this, but this was not as bad as you would think to place all these rocks and bushes and stuff. I used the method of sinking trees into the rocks, so I could use way less pieces than like actual bushes. So we sink trees in the ground and then use the rock painting tool or the scenery brush for the rocks here. And then any places where the brush didn't place any, we'll take rocks and manually place them. And that's pretty much like the whole process. It's just that multiplied on a larger scale. I'm really upset that I couldn't like access the water here, right? Because the border's there, because it looks like super detailed, right? And then there's like nothing here, which I don't know. It kind of annoys me, but you can't do much with that. Here is the lighthouse. Those are the lamps that I've downloaded from the workshop. Very pretty lamps. I love those. And here's the lighthouse. It's just hollow inside. I don't know, just looking at the geography of this area, right? Looking at this point, it looks like a lighthouse point. Like if you're a boat going through here, oh, a lighthouse on this peninsula that's like completely unobstructed. That makes perfect sense. So that's why I placed the lighthouse here. I just felt like it fit. And I guess this is one entrance of the park where people are going to spawn in. No one's using it right now just because this path is not connected to anything. But once this is connected to the entrance over here, I assume people will start spawning here and using this path. So it'll look a lot less kind of like dead. Here's the bike rentals. You know, I downloaded the bikes from Crider Shot. Very, very nice set of bikes. But I made the stands and the charging stand myself. These machines here, they're the same machines that are used at the parking garage to get the ticket and such. Just recolored. Those are by Miss T-Rex, which I linked it in the last episode when I made the parking lot, so that's where all this stuff is from. And then here's the bar. I just copied and pasted down here. There is some bamboo kind of scattered around, and I know the bamboo is not really native to this area, right? Like, here's some bamboo, and I think the last bit of bamboo is here. It's not really native, and they require a lot of water, which is, I guess, not the most eco-friendly. If we're gonna be like nitpicky like that, yeah, it says it's supposed to be an eco resort, but it's really not, right? Because keeping all these reeds and bamboo watered is it's a big task when you can just plant something native to the land that doesn't require that much water, like these plants. So luckily, this is just a video game. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for Serenica. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, sorry for the wait, but I hope what I've been up to in the park has made up for that, at least a little. Next episode should be a bit smaller in scale, but the level of detail will still be there, so stay tuned. But yeah, that's it from me, everyone. I'll see you next time. Take care, and bye-bye.